Hello everybody, welcome to the first video where that I'm making to compare three cameras, the a6000, the a6300 and the a6500. I'm doing this the first day of its global release to the general public, so units are coming into Europe and into America. I'm pretty sure there are going to be a lot of unboxing videos and a lot of professional reviewers which have done already reviews on the a6500, which I think are great. I have no problems with that, but as an owner of the a6000, a6300 and now the a6500, I think I can add some value when you are deciding if you want to upgrade or if you want to go for this camera, or is the 400 euros or dollars difference really worth the money. I want to share my learning curve with the differences, because between the a6000s, which I am holding now, and the a6500 and the a6300, which is recording us at the moment, there are, my guess, about 100 differences. And you only hear people talking about, let's say, the 20, or maybe not even that, maybe the 10 biggest difference between this camera and this camera. So about 14 months, 18 months of difference in shipping date, maybe close to 2 years, but about that period. I will be making a lot of mistakes in these videos because I want to have them up today and tomorrow, and I will make many of them and then slowly bring them all together. So if I find a difference, I will talk about it, show you the difference, and yeah, so that you can have more info simply. I will give you one example when we get started with this video. One difference I noticed right away when I was putting it together is that the eye cup is different. And it's probably a small change that they made because of the complaints they got of people losing them. And this is something that I have not seen in the review, and I already noticed 4 or 5 of these small differences that I think can be useful. Because I think the big difference between the a6300 and the 6500 is IBIS and the touchscreen and the buffer, I guess, but they are not the only difference. So if you are making up your mind how much is each change worth to me, it might be different for different people, and all combined they might be enough for you to make the jump. For example, on the 6300 and the 6500 you have your leveler back, which was removed from the a6000. It was available on the Next 7, but it was not available anymore on the a6000. I personally think that's already worth 50 bucks. But that's me, right? So that's what this video series is trying to do. So again, they will be a little bit clumsy, always without a high production value. But I hope it will add to the, I'm guessing, many people searching for the a6500 videos on YouTube, and add to the ones that are already online, which handle different topics. So the first thing I want to talk about, and yeah, pity I can't compare it with 6300 because that's doing the recording at the moment, but I will compare the bodies and the first gut feelings that I got. So first the obvious ones, that's the weight and the grip. Now what I noticed when I was playing with the a6300 compared to the a6000 is that this now feels like a toy. And I say that because I mean it, but also because that's the feeling you get when you compare them. I was actually quite disappointed when I got the a6300 that it felt so much solid or filled or brick-like or whatever you want to call it, compared to the 6000, because I like the lighter weight. So the difference now between this one and this one is about 100 grams. Well, I take it with me all day, so why would I enjoy that, right? But by the end of the day, it is clear that it just feels different. In the way that you hold it, in the way that just the way that it feels. So that's one obvious thing, something that I really hope I didn't like, but clearly the a6300 and the a6500 feel a lot more solid. Even if we are not talking about the grip or about other issues, it just feels more filled up, less empty space inside or whatever, right? It's almost the same feeling if you have the difference between some phones, right? They look the same, but the moment that you hold them, it's clear that they are different. So that's the obvious one. Now the changes on the body are quite manifold, and I would argue even compared to the 6300, which the major difference I will point out, they are slight but interesting. So the first one I noticed I already talked about. If you look at this eye cup, the old ones tended to come off. I never had it, but some people, because you had to clip it on like this. It was like a clip-on system and you can sort of pull it off. I noticed on the new one, although it looks the same, it now slides on like this. So if you, I hope you can see it on the camera, but it has this slide mechanism. So that my guess is it's really difficult or impossible to pull it off like this. You really have to slide it on and off. Pretty obvious they made this change for people that kept losing their eye cups. I never lost one on all the cameras that I owned so far. Not sure what's happening there, but I'm guessing that's a change that I made for that. The second obvious one is the grip. Now I have to admit it's better. It's the reason why it's better is because it feels for most people much closer to the way that your finger is bent, right? So here there's almost like space sort of left, and also the edge is different. So I can see that this feels better. People complaining that they want to have a grip because their pinky is sort of in lost area. I always kind of enjoy that because it just means that I have my pinky always below it. Combined with how you hold the lens, I'm fine with that. Again, a change that I think is an improvement. Not a big one, but it's an improvement. What is also improved is the button. The shutter button is much better. I think I have to get used to the on and off button. It's a little bit smaller, but doable. I turn it off quite a lot because I made a second nature almost. But the button itself is improved. Yeah, much kind of a better, easier way to get there with your finger. Now more about the grip. The grip itself changed because it got deeper. I think one reason why they did it is because of the overheating problem. This is clearly designed, but if you take the battery out, you also see that there's more, I'm guessing more empty space there that the air can sort of dissipate. So there's something in here, my guess almost nothing by the way, but that they use that to make the cooling just a little bit different. Because the sensor, if you watch some of my other videos where I built in a fan here and I tested quite a lot, the sensor closest to the battery was the one that was reacting first. So redesigning the grip, people might think they did it for just to make the grip better. I am guessing they partly did it to change a little bit the thermal behavior of the camera. So interesting side notes. Not sure if it's true, but it's a guess that I'm having. So more changes on the body. Of course, there's, which is in all the reviews, there's an extra button. I was a little bit afraid that it was not easy to reach. I'm pretty sure I have to get used to it, but I kind of like one extra button because I was missing one. I think I will end up on one of the buttons to put the magnification on, the zoom magnification, which it was not clear a place for me to put it anymore. So I think that's definitely a bonus. Other small changes on the body, I guess one that's really not seen much, but I think is an improvement. Not only is the rotator better, but I'm not even sure if you can see this, but the buttons, especially the AF button, I use back button focusing, they made it a little bit bigger, but they also made it more curvy. So, and you can notice it very well on the FN button and the lower buttons. On the old models, they were totally flat. On the new ones, on the a6500, they have a curve to them. So they are much easier to find, both in the dark, but it's more a tactile sort of feeling. Again, a small improvement, but an enjoyable improvement. Let me look around the body if I can see more differences. One thing that I noticed is the same difference between the a6000 and the a6500. I am not feeling between the a6300 and the a6500. In fact, turn the numbers the wrong way around, then maybe I should say older and newer ones. But then sorry about that, but I hope it's clear. You sort of, I almost sometimes felt that there was no weight difference at all, which I know is not true, but it was not as obvious. I was a little bit afraid about the 50 grams again, but that's what it is. Of course, you still have to take it with you, and the weight does count. I kind of have a limit on my bag always, yeah, I'm not overly happy with it, but that's what it is. The IBIS, and I'm guessing a little bit more thermal heat sinking gave us the extra weight. So checking around the body if I see more differences. Yeah, it's difficult to show now, but the paint also changed a little bit. I've already seen that in the reviews. Yeah, it's a bit different. That's all I can say about it. It also feels that the grip is maybe a little bit more tighter, but it could also be that it's just new. I think this is all for the first video, because I think I'm now going to turn it on and install all the different things, and then come back with all the smaller changes that I've noticed. And just to give you already a heads up, there are changes like you can now take frames from the video and turn them into pictures. There's features in the area of zooming that have changed. There's features in the area which I have not heard about on how the magnification works. So there are smaller differences. There's also the AF system now seems to be working up to for face detection up to f11 and not f8. So there are small changes that I think we will find out, and I will report on, because again, like I said, I think step by step they make a difference, and how much of a difference is up to you. So last thing about the body that I think many people have already talked about is that this they made this dial a little bit different. It's also a lot quieter compared to the a6300. So small detail, but it feels nicer. It's also quieter. So this is about all I can say from the body. The most obvious one is the grip. That's clear, and it still feels like a very solid camera. Compared to the cheaper DSLRs, the moment that you give it to somebody, it looks small, but somehow it doesn't feel small. It feels quite yeah, sturdy and professional. My guess is the grip and the redesign of the buttons will be the things that I notice most, and also the extra button over here. Would have been nice if we had an extra dial on the front, but we don't. Yeah, well, looking forward what they do next. One thing I totally love that Sony did, they didn't listen to the reviewers in making the camera bigger. Yes, it will be better if it, in some ways, if it turns into a DSLR. I can see that, I can understand that, but I think working within the limitations of the size that they had is a very good thing, because I think there's a niche for it, because otherwise you just turn it into an A7, and well, what's the point in doing that, right? We like it because it's small, and within the smallness we demand that they do as best as possible. So this is the first video, not sure how long it is. I will upload it and then go for dinner, and when I get back from dinner we will be starting to look at some of the differences, and I will show them also, of course, working, which I think is yeah, like I said, hopefully I will touch on many small things, like the Bluetooth, which almost nobody talks about, like the GPS function, which is related to that, like some of the touchscreen functions that I've not seen clearly talked about yet. So when I'm learning, you will be learning, and it's mostly about the 20% that is not being talked about, not about the 80% that is talked about. So talk to you later, and hopefully you will enjoy these videos in their raw form, and then probably in 2 or 3 weeks I will turn it into one big video where I will probably do all of them again, because I've learned by then quite a lot, and that it can act for let's say the second and the third batch of people ordering these cameras, so that they can decide, hey, does this extra 20% help me, or is it still the same sort of big features that sell the camera to me? Okay, thank you, and have fun, and also everybody who are also putting up videos. I'm definitely learning from them, and I hope that you enjoy watching this, and that you enjoy watching all the other reviews. Thank you.